Hello. I think we're live. Happy Tuesday. What a beautiful day to be alive. Wow. And welcome to the ORIN Oracles Live. And I'm going to have my special guest, Glenn Dixon, joining me today. And hey, Michael. And so it's been a pretty interesting several days for me. It all started on Saturday, and one of my cats was missing in the night, and I kind of fell asleep. I went to let them in, and they weren't around, so I fell asleep. And when I woke up about 11 o'clock at night to scratching on the door, there was only Baba. Muji was missing. So I ended up staying up all night, just holding space. And then about 5 a.m., Muji showed up. So I was relieved about that. And then it's been relentless. I've been in production for 3 straight days, and I'm only halfway through what I'm working on. And I had hit I hit 1,000 plus so far on YouTube, which was quite a milestone. And I started realizing that I needed to kind of up my game on my channel. And so I spent a long Sunday reorganizing my whole channel. So now it's really a lot more user-friendly. All the files are in separate files. And what I've been doing is creating MP4 files. Hey, Glenn, you're in the queue. You're in there. So let's see. Yeah, anyway, what I've been doing is just tons of production, making MP4 files and putting them in my external drive so that if anything happens goony with Facebook or with YouTube, I'll have all of my thousands of hours of production protected. Ha ha! So let's see where Glenn is. I have him in the queue. Let's see here. Glenn is invited. You are invited. Ha ha! There he goes. He's coming in. Now, I'm really excited about Glenn. Glenn and I have been really getting to know each other. We've had some really long conversations. And there he is. And we have been covering the gamut. And we realized that we're going to just keep, we're going to kind of, I'm going to put some spokes in the wheels. Our bikes are going to start making a little more racket. That's the way we're going to up the game. Right, Glenn? Hey, buddy, can you hear me?
I can
Say
hear you.
something. All right, man, there he is. All the way up on his beautiful little island way up in northeast Canada. Tell him where you are, Glenn.
Hey, bro.
Tell him where you're located.
Well, before we go there, your video was a little bit broken up for me.
Well, you're coming through real clear for me.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I'm going to try something just to reconnect.
All right. Hey, Andrew, welcome.
Be patient. I'm new.
So yeah. Anyway, Glenn and I have been having some really serious conversations on a lot of levels, but real lighthearted at the same time. He's been doing some pretty interesting things with his urine. He's he's a pee wizard. He's got a lot of things going on up there, and it's pretty cool. And so we've been talking about a lot of things, and I invited him to step in. There was a schedule change, and I had him later down the road, but he he was willing to come in today. Now he's reconnecting, so don't despair. We're always live. We just roll with it. That's how it rolls. Yeah, so after 3 days of, I put in 18 hours of production work in the last 24, and I was getting pretty weary. So I finally took a break and went out for a walk. It's a beautiful day. The sun's out, a little crisp, but beautiful. And came back and did my body rub, washed my hair, my hands, my face, and I'm feeling so very fine. It's a beautiful day to be alive. Oh, and since Glenn's working on reconnecting, they're the book's all in at this point, and so I want to thank everybody who committed to creating comments for the book. I got that whole package in there, and hopefully they'll all be included. It's all about space because I got several of them. And you can still donate, although there's no more, you can't be included in the book at this point. Everything that's in the book is in the book and it's in. But if you still want to be a participant and make a donation, you're welcome to do so, and it will secure you a signed, personalized copy of the book. And hopefully that'll be in the next month or so. You know, I don't know. I haven't talked to my coordinator since last week, so I'm going to check on Glenn here again. He had a connection disruption, so bear with me. I'm going to check on him, see where he went. No, he's still in the invites. It's just a matter of him reconnecting. I'm cutting in and out. Is that right? Anybody else having that problem? Seems to be recording real clear for me. Camera's not disrupting. All seems good from my end. So, you know, what can we say about technology? Everybody has their own, yeah, Michael's not having a problem. So, you know, it's different phones or whatever. Yeah, you're still in the invite, Glenn. You were there. You got to repress the button because I got you there. And we're coming through loud and clear in Hawaii, according to Michael. Hi, Michael. Life's the beach, huh? Yeah, there is an East Coast blizzard, but I don't think he's in that particular area. He's up near Newfoundland, way up in northeast Canada, on an island up there on the Atlantic. So I don't know if he's getting any of that weather or not. Whether or not he is, I don't know. Well, Glenn's here, but I don't know where. I just don't know. Let's see. We have to uninvite him and re-invite him, but you know, it's all good. Let's see. He's invited. You know, I don't know. Let's yeah, he's still invited. I don't know what to tell you, Glenn. You're there. I don't know what happened to you. You were here and you disconnected. What's wrong with you, bro? I don't know. What button did you push before? I mean, the only way I know how to undo all this is to stop and start. You know, that's why I really don't like to do that because it just makes it so goony. And so I'm going to clear the requests. I'm going to, no, you're still in there. You're still in, you know. You looked like a picture was on your wall. So yeah, you know, you were there, man. I don't know where you went. So yeah, I okay. I don't know if y'all can see the comments, but you know, that's the part of it. That's what makes it also present and accountable. We are live. And, what are you going to do? He was here. He is out there. So, yeah, it's all good. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited these days. Life's really good. Uh, things are unfolding and presenting themselves as they do. And I don't live in any anticipation, expectation, or assumption. I just let things allow themselves to appear. And I always hold a vision, and the vision is clear. And it does work like that, whatever you think about it, bring about. And if you don't have the patience to let it unfold and present itself. All right, I see something appearing here. Let me push this button. Yep, there it is. Okay, he's coming back. See how that works? Yeah, this is great. So let's give him a minute. And he's reconnecting. And he's coming in. Cats are out playing in the yard. I'm doing this strictly on my phone. I got the window open and didn't want to run the generator. I found that I can do this. There's just usually enough battery power in my phone that I can do this. Hey, Glenn. He's back.
Sorry about that.
So, well, that's the beauty of all this, man. Okay, can you hear us now? Can I hear you, man? I didn't have any problem before. Speak up.
I know you can hear me perfectly and see me, right?
Yes,
I,
absolutely.
I can't see you. It's just choppy. The screen's all gone whack. So I
Well,
was
that's
just trying
probably
to.
your signal. It's not happening on our end.
Yeah.
You're coming through fine. Your camera's appearing beautifully. You look
Oh,
good.
okay.
Yeah, so don't worry. Don't unplug from us. Yeah, she said Michelle says Grizzly Adams. So let's and your tell us that little island you're on up there. There you are. Don't play with buttons, man. Don't tweak the knobs.
I can't hear you. You're all choppy for me. That's the problem here. I can't have a conversation with something I can't see.
Well,
Just
that's
give me.
weird because we hear you and see you fine.
Yeah, I got it.
Just start talking. Tell us,
Yeah,
tell
okay.
us, yeah,
Let's make some noise.
yeah,
Shake it up.
yeah, man. Tell us where you are. Go ahead.
Sorry about this, guys. You're still chopping up on me, so I have to just sit back and figure this out here. I can't see you at all. The screen's gone all fuzzy. Sorry about that, folks.
It must be, yeah, Camp Brenton. That's exactly right, Bernie. Yeah, he's in Camp Brennan. So he's having the signal trouble. I'm not, and I can see him fine, and everybody can see you fine, and we can hear you fine. Are you on your phone?
Yeah, everything's good with the phone. It's all charged up. I had my
You're not
PC in
on it?
front of me, so I was just checking to make sure that wasn't interrupting with the internet.
Yeah, because the phone is what works, not the internet. I found that out. That's why I do it on my phone, not the computer. And you're as clear as a bell, man. Everybody can hear you. We can hear you fine. Somebody type in if he can read text. Somebody just type it in. Can you read the text?
All right.
Start talking, man.
Yeah.
Tell us
Can
a
you hear me?
story. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Now I can hear you.
Cool. So start
You know what
talking,
I
man.
did?
Yeah.
Well, the technical difficulty, the Wi-Fi probably needs to be unplugged and plugged back in to get a better connection. You have to reset those once in a while, right? So what I did is I switched from my Wi-Fi connection to my data connection on my phone, straight to the satellite.
Cool. So you can hear me now.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, I
What
can
are you
hear you
drinking?
perfect.
What are you drinking there, man?
I got, you see my glass, eh?
Yeah.
I took a bunch of fruit that I had left, mostly oranges, the blood oranges, and I squozed them, and I got a nice juice out of it, and I mixed it with some distilled water.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you're the one that's been experimenting with the it's blood oranges, Michelle. You've been doing the reduction with your urine and getting it down to a syrup, right?
Yeah, from the syrup, I usually go to the harder state. I find this is the best. I'll show you it here.
Now you mix that in with your fresh urine, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a really beautiful thing. I was trying to, express myself the best I could to get people to try it, because when you rub the urine on your body and you get that nice caramel smell.
Yes, I love it.
Well, when you reduce it down, that smell intensifies because you distill it down, and it's like it's got this beautiful caramel, like beautiful aroma to it. Just the sugars, I guess, that it's in your urine, I guess. So you get this beautiful caramel smell, and when you taste it, it's completely ironic because when you taste it, it's salty and it's got all of the minerals and elements that your body's, pumping through, processing. So you got that sweet top note, and then you got the salt, and the salt is like not a salt that like a rock salt. It's incredible. It makes your tongue tingle. You put it on the end of your tongue, and it just dances. It's alive. I don't know how to explain it, but amazing. Try it.
Yeah. Now, how long have you been working on that particular experiment?
Wow. Excuse me. Well, it happened by complete accident, to be honest. I have a wood stove behind me, and I just have the bricks on top, so I don't put anything directly on the top of the stove. There's the 8-inch cinder blocks sitting on the top. So that way there I can control temperatures a little bit better. So I just put my morning water on the stove to warm up from throughout the night. It got cold. Put it on to warm up, and I would do that, and I'd bathe and drink it, and blah blah. But one day I completely forgot it. I got distracted, and it dissipated all the water slowly. It took hours, all day, and then I was left with a syrup on the bottom, quite accidentally. So when I looked at it, I got a spoon and I scraped it up, tasted it. I was like, wow, just like that, right? Cheers.
Now, this was just recently, right?
Yeah, it was a couple of months ago, and I didn't try it with the aged yet because, to me, it doesn't feel instinctively right because aged is so on the alkaline end of things. But I will try it, but I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll taste the best.
Now, you've been doing urine therapy a couple of years now.
Yeah, my second year coming up in April 1st.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, we were originally scheduled to have your 2-year celebration, but there was a schedule change. And so I asked Glenn if he wanted to come up this week, and he says, yeah, man, I'm in. So, Here he is, but he's coming up on his 2 year, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what other things have you been playing around with your pee? We had some interesting. You were telling me some different things that you've been experiencing.
You know, I got involved with the urine therapy. My first introduction was Dr. Jubb, and I followed his work, and I still do. And he talks a lot about life colloids, the very foundation of what's in our urine, really. And just since we're talking about it, the fresh urine that I distilled down to that syrup, what I did is I let it dry naturally, and it formed a powder of life colloids, just like white powder. It's got a little bit of brown mixed in it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that there is, so it has very little smell and very little taste. It's just powder.
Now, that I would consider that to be down to enormous, the powder, eh?
There's the magic that we talk about right there.
Yeah, there's your philosopher's stone.
Yeah.
That's the true alchemy. People don't understand this, and they really need to understand. That's what the ORMUS is, and that's why it's precious. People ask me, "What are you doing?" I've got like 40, I don't know, 6, 7 gallons now, and I just keep letting them age because that ORMUS just keeps collecting. It just keeps building up and collecting. And the longer the better, as far as I'm concerned. I'm in no hurry about my process. So when it's time, it's time. But I can watch it turn from the, some of my urine is like golden amber. I mean, like an ale, like a light ale, like real clean, real pure. And some of it's a little more dank when it comes out. It varies. And people don't understand this. I answered somebody yesterday in a comment that yeah, it can go like your pee can go from sweet to sour like Chinese takeout. It varies throughout the day depending on your detoxing, your exercise, your diet. It has a lot of variables, and it's all good. Hey, Elizabeth, nice to have you. So, for me, it doesn't matter. The darker it gets, the better it is. That's the way I view it. My oldest is like a really beautiful amber. It's just dark and silky. It's beautiful. I mean, I love it. I love looking at it. I love smelling it. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Andrew was saying he uses a crock pot to do reduction. He can take a gallon down to a liter, but he hadn't tried taking it further down to the syrup, but I imagine it would. You leave it in there long enough and you don't have to worry about it burning. You just put it on a low temp and let it roll.
Yeah. There was a question that was on the feed about that. And for anybody that may not know this, for the living enzymes, you want to keep the temperature, they say around 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't go that low, but I get down to 180 on my wood stove, and it varies a little bit. And I don't mind that because the variation of temperatures is kind of part of the magic. Like having a wood stove is the most incredible thing because you have a living thing in your living room, just like everything else, it's just radiating. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can dig it. We actually we scored a beautiful wood stove. It's sitting inside one of the tractor trailers right now, waiting. But when I build the tiny house, I might incorporate that wood stove into the tiny house. I'm looking at that. It's a really nice one. It was just given to us. Really nice. Yeah. So yeah. So were you and I talking about some mushrooming in any of your pee? I forget if we had that conversation.
Yeah, well, we touched on it, but we didn't go in any detail. I don't know
Yeah.
much about it. I see them there, and ever since I started viewing Blakey's work and seeing what he does with his, I said, why not? I scooped it out and I took that living entity, mushroom, and I ate it. And I thought it was great.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel any like a superhuman or nothing, but I tried it. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen that evidence yet in any of my stuff. I don't know why. And my oldest is about probably 13 months, I guess, about this point. That's when I first learned about saving.
Yeah.
Was because I had no idea, and it was Monica Shute, who's going to be one of my guests coming up, and she posted in the groups how to age urine, and that thing's still floating around in most of the groups. It has the like a polka dotted red cloth covering over jars and a full article that goes along with that. And I went, wow, you can save it. And I went, cool. So that's when I started saving it, and I've used it for everything, and now I'm just saving it because I'm not in I don't have a setup right now for enemas and stuff, so I just do my body rubs. As a matter of fact, it's been since January 3rd was the last time I had water on my body.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything but pee on my body since
That's
January
dead.
3rd, and I love it.
You had no dead water, but you got
Yeah,
lots
yeah,
of
yeah.
living. Lots of living.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing
Right?
out of a faucet.
So
Nothing.
that's a whole conversation in itself, because where I do a lot of fermenting, I just ferment everything for fun. I love to see things decompose. And there's a magic in that decomposition. It creates life. And I do the kombucha, and then I make apple cider vinegar out of it, and I keep reducing it down to its colloids. And that's why these things are so good for you, because they're alive. That's it. That's simple, right? Just don't be scared of and don't try to whitewash everything and kill it with bacteria or Javix or whatever, ammonia. Don't go there. Let that stuff grow. It's magic.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some, and my oldest is still, I keep that under the bed, and I have about 4 gallons under there that are being grounded by copper. We have
Yeah, that's a
a
good
copper
idea.
line. Yeah.
I
And
mentioned
even
on
my,
sorry.
go ahead.
I mentioned on the feed about a really great scientist is Gerald Pollack, Pollack, and he discovered that water is the most anomalous thing, and all of its properties it hasn't been nailed down in science yet. It's anomalous. They can't figure out the magic of water, and Gerald Pollack has discovered that there is another phase. There's a fourth phase, and that is he proved it in his laboratory, and he's talks about this. And what it is, it's very basic. The copper that you put in your urine, it's hydrophilic. It likes water, and in that process of hydrophilic, the copper and the water create energy, create life, and they make a reaction, and that is something magical, because there's hydrogen being produced there. This is energy, and it's free, and all you got to do is put copper in some water, and you got free energy. You got life.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's a process even in creating colloidal silver, if I'm not mistaken.
That's it. That's all you do, right?
Yeah.
It's just in the colloidal silver process, it's sped up because what you do is you hook your 9-volt battery up to it.
Right.
No,
You charge it.
18 volts. Sorry, I had that wrong. You 3 9-volt batteries is what you need, and get at least 99.9, whatever, pure silver. And just what I did is I took a silver coin and cut it in half and then put the electrodes on it and dropped it in the water. And you can see the reaction that goes between the two pieces of silver. And it's amazing. And it brings, you can see the energy. It really does. It turns the water into this living thing, and you can see the energy transferring. And it's just amazing to watch. I love it. It's a great process. I recommend it.
Yeah. And I really had, I wished I'd learned about urine therapy decades ago. I really do, considering how many things that were going haywire in my body, particularly my mouth. And, I had a mouthful of mercury, but I also had gingivitis, and as my mouth kept deteriorating, I just kept pulling the teeth. I had no reason to make an effort to do any restoration because it was pointless. But I'd get these gum infections, and when I discovered, somebody turned me on to the colloidal silver. I'd never even heard of it. And it was a miracle. I swished that around in my mouth, and the infection would leave within 10, 15 minutes. The swelling would go down, the pain would go away. It was really quite fascinating. And so, you look at the power of water. Water is it's really amazing. Even with Dr. Emoto's work, taking the images of love and hate, and doing all these experiments, the rice experiments, and just vibrational.
It's with the mind, right? You put the intent in there, and it records it.
And we are water. I mean, primarily that's our body. So the more we really understand the programming of it, especially with our own waters, pretty
the
powerful.
Programming is everything that you take in, because the subconscious has 10 million bytes of information coming in per second, but the conscious mind has 60 bytes per second. That there in itself, if you get to figure that out, like at least try to wrap your head around that concept, then you realize what's running the show. Your subconscious. You pick up on everything. So your thoughts are part of that. And it picks up on that. And that creates and manifests everything.
Yes. Well, I always refer to the subconscious and conscious mind, conscious being the captain and the subconscious being the crew. And the crew only knows one response, and that is yes. So whatever we're programming in a conscious sense, the subconscious mind will totally support it absolutely unconditionally always. So that's how you can sabotage and goon yourself pretty effortlessly if you don't have your thinking on correct. If you're not consciously aware and focused in what your thought process is, you can just set yourself up for a disaster every time.
Yeah.
Because the subconscious is connected to the universal mind, which is connected to all things.
Yeah, so if you try not to let that 60 bits or that I factor, if you don't let that run the show, then, and I'm talking 5D, because the I that I talk about is not the self or whatever you call that. The I part.
Right. Exactly.
It's 5D. It's 5D. So you're running the show from a different modality entirely.
Yeah. Well, and Muji talks a lot about that. So Alan Watts, Terrence McKenna, all those, great. I mean, they talk about the separation of the I, the self, the me, there really is a important distinction to realize, who you're spiritually being, who your being is, not your I, not your ego, not your me. Yeah, and it really takes, it's a practice, to separate that aspect, to separate away from the ego.
And for me, it's like coming home. I know when I'm home, I know I'm there.
Yes.
I found that was one of the great qualities with the urine therapy. When you found it, it felt right. It felt like you were home. And sometimes I go astray from home, and well, I can't wait to get back. You know?
Yeah. Well, and that's why I went ahead and posted that little meme yesterday. Anybody who tells you they got it all figured out, they don't. You
No,
know, trust that. Nobody's got it figured out. It's all a process. Life is just a continuation of process, process, process. And
it's dreaming.
that's it.
It's
Yeah.
dreaming itself.
Yeah.
There's nobody here. There's no thingness. It's just dreaming, and it's all verbing. Everything is in motion. You can see that from your experience, because even diamonds turn to dust. In the dream, time really just keeps flowing like a river. When you get that and you see the no thingness, or recognize the space in which everything appears, you just get it. It's just that you figure it out. Then you're like, okay, let's have fun with this.
Yeah. Well, and that's another whole thing is the dream state is just so man, I dream in 5D literally
Yeah.
every night.
Lucid
I
dreaming.
mean, oh, it's just it's like amazing. Michelle's asking what kind of diet are you on now besides the UT?
When I started 2 years ago, I was on a fairly good diet, because I grow all my own vegetables, and I grow lots, and I love it. That's my gig. I spend, soon as I can get in the dirt, there's where I stay right until I can't get in it. I love it. It's like home, right? So I grow all pretty well all my own stuff, except for my fruit, which comes imported to Canada, and I do all organic. I, I've gone down that road. I've been back and forth, but I feel best on organic. So if the budget allows, I eat organic, and bananas, 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 bananas.
Yeah. Yeah, I love my bananas and avocados and oranges. Those are my three primaries. Those are the three primary fruits that I eat constantly. And
So it's been 2 years that I've been doing bananas and fruit, oranges, like you said, and they're good. They're astringent. Anybody that it's been on this fruitarian diet knows how astringent and it's alive. So it doesn't take no time for the body to cleanse itself, because a fruit diet is like no other. It's totally in its own class, totally. So when you eat
yes,
fruit, and you eat it every single day, it just astringently pulls everything out of you, and it feels that way. I feel it, because when I drink, I notice how alive this is. It's the value is in that. Well, not this. My other glass. I'm gonna fill up pretty soon here.
yeah, man,
so
you
so
can
yeah,
do that.
when you do that and get into that routine, you know what's in there, and it's very evident. So just stick with it.
Yeah, I've always been a fruitaholic. You know, that was no brainer for me. I've always loved fruit as far back as my memory serves me. And same with greens, you know, salads and vegetables. I was really always a primary on those. Even all the years I ate meat and all that stuff, my primary was in the fruit and vegetables. That's what I'd have more of than the meat. Um, so, yeah, it's a healthy choice.
It is.
Now, one
It's
of the things we were talking about in our earlier conversations last week, you've come a long road. You had some addiction challenges and stuff like we all have. Yeah.
still do.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to this radio that plays in my head. I call it me.
Yeah.
Addiction goes so deep into our programming. I'm addicted to having to have somebody close to me to feel their company, because I don't feel whole or fulfilled unless I have that. See, addiction's in everything. We are just, by nature, we're an addictive species. That's fine.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong or right about it. It's okay. But when it gets out of control, you have to be able to have some kind of way to acknowledge you're out of control, right?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Right. So
And it's all a
I found
process.
it's a process, and you just get to a point where you're settled and you don't feel out of control.
Yeah.
And the urine therapy also, I'll say this, is an addiction. Every process, like you just mentioned, is an addiction. So I kind of like to separate processes that this action figure goes through in a daily routine from what I am at my very core, my nature, because
Yes.
I'm 47, so that I finally figured out, this, and it, not 100%, but I know what it's liable to do anything. It's unruly. The thoughts that go through your head, just right, way out there.
Yeah.
And you
No,
got to reel
I
it
know.
in, and you got to have that you got to have that ability to reel it in, because if
Yes.
you don't, it just runs the show. And once it starts running the show just goes to shit, and addiction happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Everything is happening, verbing, always moving. So my addiction issues, I will say I have the biggest part of the problem licked, but do I? I don't know. But I'm not abusing, I don't think, am I?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm a pissaholic.
Yes, AK.
Totally. Yeah.
The AK
I
nails
mean,
you on that one.
I accept that one, man.
Yeah.
There's no turning back for me now, man. I'm in. I'm hooked. And I love it, man. I do. I mean, I
Yeah.
really do love my pee.
Yeah.
It's just so weird to say something like that, but it's true. I do. I love my pee. I do.
Yeah.
To me, it's just awesome, what it provides for me. And I always know what I'm drinking. I know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm drinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's very great
So Michelle
to be
says,
here.
Michelle was curious of what your addictions were. You had some, you had a lot of different ones.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much fell into that trap, everybody goes through, that's been there, obviously. They just get involved with life, and then it gets stressful, and you start with whatever your gateway drug was, and it just progresses, and then you get to a point where you're out of control. I mean, I don't like going into details because it's behind me. On the linear thing, it's behind me. I don't dwell on it. I don't even like to bring it up, to be honest with you, because I don't. That guy is long gone. But
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for the sake
No, I totally agree.
of having a conversation, I will.
Yeah.
I was into the pills because I had got injured, and I went allopathic medicine. They put me on some meds, and then they just grew because my pain seems to go up as the meds and all that. So I just grew into that allopathic thing until I was, hydromorphine, Oxycontin, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Now
understand it.
I'll justify it because I had an accident, and an accident, whatever. Something happened. I broke my neck. Um, it wasn't a bad break. It was the fifth and sixth vertebrae got compacted. It was called a compound fracture. So they put me on the meds because I had a lot of nerve damage. That was my complaint. Because everything from where I had the impact on my neck, like my whole body, it's a very strange thing if you ever had any nerve issues. Your body vibrates. It doesn't feel like calm or smooth anymore, like natural. It just vibrates, and you're just vibrating. So I couldn't get used to that after the accident. So then I just kept saying, it's not working. Whatever you're doing is not working. I did all the treatments. physio first, blah, 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 even the electrical treatments. And then I went natural and I just give up. And that didn't work because I was vibrating. My nerves were just, it's like the impact of that, my head crunching that vibrated into the web of life. And it just kept vibrating me. It just didn't stop. And I just couldn't figure it out. So I went to the doctor. And ever since then, it's been a process because I learned from taking meds that got me nowhere fast. But I took my time getting to this point because it took 10 years for me to get away from that. Yeah.
Well, I have a titanium plate screwed into 4 of my cervical vertebrae, 3 through 7, and it wasn't any one event. It was a lifetime of events that led to the dislodging and the disruption to the point where it was like a Vulcan pinch. I had a pinch going on that was 24/7. It just wouldn't go away. It never relieved. It didn't. And I went on that for 8 months. And I was just waiting to die. That was 4 years ago. I'm coming up on, well, let's see. It'll be coming up 4 years that I had the neck operation, and almost coming up another month or so on a year since I had a hand operation. So, but when I had the hand operation, I was already doing the urine therapy. So that was a big, big, big plus for the healing process. Now the other, I quit drinking, I quit pot, I quit everything for 8 months, and I diligently, I couldn't move my neck even after surgery. I couldn't move my neck, so I was seeing a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, and then I learned they were minute exercises. And it took 8 months before I finally had, like full movement of my neck. And that's when I was able to resume golf and do other things. So it's been a long road. I mean, it's really a long road, but I was still on the meds until I got on the urine therapy. I was doing meds all the way through. Even though I went vegan, I was losing weight, I was exercising, I was golfing, biking, hiking, walking. I was doing all that. And I was working a lot of construction on my friend's property. And it was all taking its tolls. I couldn't function. Even though I'd quit the drink, and I couldn't function without massive pain due to it all. The degenerative disc, the arthritic situation, the bursitis, tendinitis, all those things were really persistent in their pain factor. Yeah. And so once I started the urine therapy, it was only 2 weeks, 2 weeks in, 2 weeks. I said, fuck it, man. I just dropped them. I dropped all of them. And I haven't had any meds since. It's been well over a year since I had any medications. Except during when that's not altogether correct, because hey, Marius, when I had my hand operation, they put me under, with anesthesiology. And so I did have some pain, and they were narcotic. And it was pretty severe. And actually, my body went through a really interesting reaction. And I was on the toilet every 15 minutes for days. It was like my body was just rebuking whatever was going on, because I'd been on the urine therapy for months. And I went in really healthy. When I went in for the operation, I was in prime shape. I mean, and I was talking urine therapy to all the anesthesiologists, the nurse. They were all fascinated. I mean, they were just tripping on it. And even my hand surgeon, they all knew I was doing urine therapy. They all knew it. And so this violent reaction that happened in the aftermath, this all appeared about, 36 hours in or 48 hours into after the surgery. And I think I got food poisoning is what I really think. It was from a papaya. But nobody could figure it out. This was 5 days. My body was like going through a detox nightmare for 5 straight days. But I kept drinking my pee. all the way through. I just kept drinking my pee and waiting for the resolve, and it finally resolved, and I had a recovery. But I mean, I would never turn back anymore. People go, well, I'll drink my pee when I'm feeling a little this or get a sniffle. Man, I drink my pee no matter what. It's a proactive. I do it as a proactive measure. I don't do it as a reactive. I don't do anything reactive at all. I do it all proactive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes a difference.
Totally.
Big time.
Yeah.
People think that's crazy. I don't. I think people that take meds and suffer and go through pain and all their gyrations and other horse shit and still get, viruses and flus and sick and cold. I never get sick.
Yeah.
I never get sick. Never. And I know it's pee. I know it is. That's all. I know it is. There's no way out of that conversation. People think I'm nuts for drinking my pee, and I think they're nuts for not drinking their pee. But that's just perspective. Yeah.
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 I like how you jumped in with your 2 feet first, and just because you had that motivation, you just wanted it bad. You needed change, and you wanted it, and you made it happen.
Yeah, I couldn't move my hands. When I started UT, my hands were so crippled with arthritis, I couldn't open a bottle. I couldn't open a jar. I mean, I couldn't hold a knife in my hand. It was all excruciatingly painful, really heavy duty painful. And within 10 days, I had full movement of my hand, both of them. And I still had surgery on one of them, which at this point, had I known, I would have never elected for the surgery. I would have never done it because both my hands, I was healing them without the surgery. But the surgeon convinced me that it was a mechanical thing, and I was glad they only do one hand at a time. But they removed a bone from my hand, right out of my thumb joint, and. I mean, I got all the scars and whatnot. They cut open my palm, they cut open my thumb, they cut open the back of the hand, they realigned cartilage, and it's crazy, this whole process, what they do, and that took a long time. I mean, I was in a cast for 2 months, something like that. A soft cast, and it got softer, but I had to keep it well protected for quite some time. I did not want to goon it, and then here it was months later. It was like 5-6 months later. And I was still healing. I still had a lot of tenderness in my hand, but I was bike riding and just going on about my life. And I had a crash and burn on my bike in San Diego. And when I bit it, it was just like a brain fart. And my tire hit the curb, and I just went pam. And my hand went full compression in right into my right hand, and my elbow crammed into my rib. So I bruised a rib, crushed my hand, and lacerated a big side of my knee. I mean, the bike was fine. I took all the impact. But again, all of a sudden it was like, oh, shit, I had to kind of almost start over. My hand was real, and I was miles and miles and miles away. I was hanging in Ocean Beach, and I was way over a couple of beaches, over a couple of towns. And so I laid there for a while, and I went, bro, you really gooned yourself this time. But I got up. I did, and man, my leg was bleeding profusely, and I rode all the way back to my van. I got out my aged urine, and I made a compression for my knee because it was open and it was bleeding, and that cleared it up in no time. I mean, it was really amazing how quickly the aged urine had an effect on the open wounds. And now the rib and the hand, they were compressed. They got gooned pretty good. So I was doing rubs and all that, but I had to go through a secondary recovery and rehealing. But they're great now. I can go out and golf 18 holes, no pain, no loss of grip, nothing, man. It's like amazing how much. And even when I got here in December, I was still, my hands are sore, you know, they would get sore. And so they were still delicate, but not anymore. I mean, there's a little soreness in my thumb joints, but that's nothing. I wear my rubber gloves, put the aged urine in there, and let them soak and heal. I mean, it's amazing how quickly the body recovers.
Yeah.
And I'm going on 65, bro. I'm not, you know, I'm not a teenager anymore. You know, the most people my age, they fall down and hurt themselves. They may never recover. Never, you know. But I'm healthier now and stronger now and more fit now than I've ever been in my life. You know, really honestly, I've never been this healthy in my life, man. One year, a year in therapy has just turned my whole world around. You know, I'm just whoever that was a year ago is just somebody I used to know.
Yeah.
Even a couple months ago, just somebody I used to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It's a
digging it.
living, it's a living entity. The whole thing is always living. It can change on a dime. The only thing holding it back is how you perceive it. You can change anything. You
Yes,
just got to perceive it. Just it's not like you have to make a severe jump or a big jump. All you got to do is shift. Just get out of your own way and shift.
yes. And that is the key. I mean, I remember the first morning, and I'd only heard of urine therapy for 2 days. I mean, I was watching all these YouTube videos with allegedly Dave and Andrew Norton Weber and other people. And I looked at them for 2 days and I thought, what am I waiting for? And I'll never forget that first morning. It was January 23rd last year. And there I was with my, you know, cup of tea, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, man, bottoms up, down the hatch. And I drank it and I thought, well, this is nothing. You know, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And so immediately I had my head wrapped around it.
Yeah.
Immediately. It didn't even like, once that first drink, I went, fuck, this is nothing. And if this is going to work and heal me, I'm in. And I saw such immediate results, but I did jump in both feet, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I
was
know.
totally in. I didn't fuck around. I was looping, eating only fruit, stop the cooked food, you know, drinking a gallon of distilled water and pee a day. I mean, I went for the full flush. I went for the full thing.
Yeah.
And
Me
it
too.
produced results so fast, it twisted my melon.
It pretty quickly I realized starchy vegetables and starchy legumes and starchy grains had to go because I seen it in my urine like this much white stuff. No, and you don't feel right, especially pasta. Oh my God, bad. I realized that quickly, right? And then the ammonia part, what they call urea, with the ammonia, the strong part of the urine, I found I cleared that up once I got rid of all of the breads, like I say, the yeast, starches, all that, not yeast, pardon me, starches, and got rid of that. And even fats, certain fats, if they're rancid, you got to be really cautious about the fats you eat. I suggest and recommend from my experience, eat just the fats that are extra virgin or virgin, and they're cold pressed, but not the wrong kind of cold press. There's two processes. And just eat things that are still alive and stay with that because that really works. And it takes the ammonia out, a lot of it, not all of it. And then you've got no sediment and no ammonia. And you're, like you say, the coconut water, you get that eventually after a couple of glasses of it. It just, you know that you're running. You know what I find, especially lupin, is that your energy goes up as the more liquid that you drink, and then you'll notice the liquid gets more pure and clean and better tasting. And then at some point you realize, okay, I'm looping. So you're like, holy shit, I drank that much? Like realize that you
Yeah,
drank like a gallon and a half of liquids in 2 or 3 hours. Most people don't
yeah,
drink that in a week.
yeah. No, it's amazing to me, especially with intermittent fasting. You know, having not a whole, you know, my system, the liquids, and plus, you know, with eating all the fruit and the greens and whatnot, most of that stuff liquefies right back in. So that's why I'm a pea factory. You know,
Yeah,
I don't
it does.
clog up my system with meat and cheese and dairy and, you know, those things that have a general tendency to overproduce mucus and other things and make our bodies way more heavier and all that stuff. I mean, I'm a pretty efficient machine
Yeah.
anymore, and I eat cooked food. I mean, you know, I do. I don't make a bone about it,
Yeah.
and whatever my pee does, it goes through variations throughout the day. I mean, and if the morning pee, I can eat, you know, drink it and taste my cooked food from last night, you know, that because I like my hot sauces. I mean, I like to eat, you know, so I don't deny myself because of how my pee tastes.
Yeah.
I drink
There's a
the pee
balance,
anyway. Yeah.
right?
And as the more I loop, even with the coffee and this, that, and the other, usually by the third loop, it's back to coconut water anyway. It just
Yeah.
starts running. You know, I got good running filtration system in the plasma, man.
Yeah.
Big time. I know it. And I'm not afraid of it. You know, I don't care what it looks like, smells like, or tastes like. I don't give a shit. It's just my medicine. You know, doesn't scare me. I know what I
I
got, you know.
I find, and I don't know if anybody else has the same experience, but sometimes when you do get that really nasty taste, that one that's nasty does the most work in the body.
Yes,
That's why aged
exactly.
urine is incredible because
Yes, I agree.
it's so astringent. The next urine you have is completely pure. It's like it pulled everything
Yes.
out on that one strong one, and then you hit it again with that, and then bam, magic.
Yeah. No, and I see it. I do. You know, different people are making different comments, you know, about thing, but the body will reproduce and regenerate and it'll readjust constantly throughout the day. Always. You know, I mean, I can see it in my own body. I mean, everybody has their own experience, but I see it in my own body all the time. I mean, my pee can go through several stages throughout the day. And it does get to a point where it's really like it's just drinking coconut water. And
That
if I
is
haven't eaten, if I it's still, you know, it's 2 in the afternoon and I still haven't eaten, and I drink it, and 5 minutes later I got to pee again, and I'm filling up the glass again, and it's just like recycling coconut water. It's just as
yes,
pure and tasteless, and just it's sweet. It tastes
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I didn't get to finish my point earlier. You reminded me. My original point was that when you're doing that, you have to go to the bathroom like all the time. And what do you find yourself doing? Bouncing. Eventually, you're
yeah,
dancing. I'm like,
yeah,
my bladder's full. I gotta pee, and I'm dancing. I feel great, and it happens in the looping process. And you're doing that all day long. Then eventually, you know that you got to come down. So you got to stop around, supper time or 5 o'clock.
Oh, I just stop when I get ready. It doesn't matter to me because I drink enough pee a day, and it doesn't matter. You know, I do what I feel like doing. I don't have a set pattern or routine about any of it except that I do it.
Yeah,
I never miss a day. I always drink my pee. And how
yeah,
many times I loop, it just varies because I'm a pee factory, man.
yeah,
That's why I
exactly.
have so many gallons in storage that are aging because, man, it's effortless for me. My body runs really efficient.
Yeah.
I don't have a
And
prostate problem.
no, the reason why I brought the 5 o'clock end of the day thing up simply because who wants to be up all night, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. And it provides energy. Like, you know, like I was up late. I was I put in 18 hours in the last 24 doing production, and I'm still not even halfway through what I'm working on right now. And it takes a lot of focus, a lot of energy. So, you know, I was drinking a lot of coffee, drinking pee. I mean, man, I was getting pretty weary about 1:30 in the morning. I usually go to bed about 7, 8. I mean, most nights because I get up at 3 and 4 in the morning. And I got up at 6:30. I went to down about 1:30 and got up at 6:30 this morning, and I was right back at the computer. I put another 4 hours straight in, and then I said, okay, I caught up to this point. I'm going out and getting some fresh air, take a walk, come back, do a body rub, wash my hair and face, shave. Kind of, I didn't want to look like I'd been run over by a truck when I did this broadcast with you, bro.
Oh,
'Cause
not
I was
me. I
looking
took my
pretty
time.
weary.
I fixed my hair. I did my rub.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to look pretty for the camera, yeah,
Oh
because
yeah,
I got a real ego involved in it. No, I just felt like needed to clean up
yeah. I
because
hear
I've
you.
been on the gnarly for a couple of days. Just yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't mind being gnarly. I don't. I can get that way, and I don't stink. I don't worry about shit like that. It's just that it doesn't even occur to me.
yeah.
I get focused and I'm on. This is how I roll. I've done this forever. I mean, when I worked as a chef in construction, everything, and I'm used to pumping the pump for long periods without interruption. Just focus and get the shit done. So, it's all good to me.
Yeah.
And I like
Right?
that, Matt. Matt says get pfactory.com, mate. you know, yeah,
As if you need extra
yeah,
work.
yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, people keep asking me, even about the T-shirts, this, that, and the other. And the book is the priority right now. Once the book is out and in the published and all that, I'm moving to the next. I actually already have my next. I have stories that I've written over 22 years ago was the first one. It's a central character, and I have like, I don't know, 11 or 12 stories that I have. They're like children's stories, but it's about the child in all of us. And so I'm working on that next as a project, but I'm also working on a documentary film, which is why I've been filming all of my process and my journey. I've journalized the whole journey from day one, every bit of it. I've got thousands of miles down, physically in film. I got a lot of archive at this point, and I've already started a timeline on the documentary film. I intend to open a website and start marketing some of the T-shirt ideas that I've developed, and I got a lot more. Uh, there's so many things that are on the burners, but first things first, I don't overamp myself. I stay focused on whatever it is I'm working on, and right now I'm working on projects that are taking a lot of energy and time and focus. It's all
I can
good.
help you with that. I have lots of time. Actually, I shouldn't say that. No, never mind. Scratch that. Edit that
What did I just sign up for? Hey, you do lawns?
out. Yeah.
Yeah. But, things are happening. I've got a new enterprise with the relationship, and, that's coming around the bend. And I'm being patient about that, but it's going to shift a few other gears, and I'm excited about that. So it's all in divine order. I just take it one day at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. That's how I roll.
Yeah,
No
I
other
find the
way.
magic when it comes to time is that gap in between two thoughts, there's the magic.
Yes.
It's a timeless, no thingness place that you can just go to. And all spirituality just brings you back home to see that simple fact. It's a space between two thoughts. Just go there.
Yeah. Well, it's remembering to be in that place of already been there and haven't gone there yet. you
Yeah,
know,
brand
stay
new.
right in that. Yeah, stay in that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a healthy space to be in.
Hmm.
And we were also talking. Our conversations that we were having in this last week or so. It is about. I think the time's right to keep leveling up, and that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing the work I'm doing right now. I want to protect and preserve all of my material. So because I'm just going to keep turning up the fire, man. I'm going to put some cards on my spokes, and I'm just going to keep making a little bit more noise because I think it's important, and I think people are really finally starting to recognize this is a movement. It's not just a bunch of occultists like drinking their pee. No, this is an awakening. This is a consciousness shift. This is a paradigm shift, and it is happening. It's happening big time.
Yeah, it's always happening.
And there's going to
It
be more
doesn't
hundred.
ever stop.
No, the beauty of it is that there's millions of people doing this. Millions. They just don't acknowledge it, or they're not public figures, or this, that, and the other. You don't know it, but they're there. They're doing it.
I
Big
think
time.
that, I mean, I can't obviously know that as a fact. I can conceptualize that somehow. But, I spent a lot of time researching the health part of things, and you realize that there's so many people that are on the internet talking about health, and they all have their way or selling you a way. But this is the way, and it's the right way. And there's, I don't have to buy it. To me, that's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I never poo-poo on anybody's modalities. I think everybody has their own, free will, their choice, their prerogative, and different budgets. I don't have a budget that includes, wouldn't it be lovely to be going and joining a spa and getting massages and, being able to just order all this shit online and have packages arrive every day. I don't have that luxury. I have none of that luxury.
Aren't you
I,
lucky?
I, I spend all of my money on gas and propane, just so I can have a, generator running and some heat in here. So I don't trip on it. The beauty of it is that the pee is all I need for
Now,
perfect health. That's all I need.
fast forward. Okay, all of a sudden you make big money and you're a rich guy and you got everything that you need. You're in a big fancy hotel with all the amenities. What do? You go to the bathroom and you realize I'm just pissing it away.
Yeah, not me. No, and as a matter of fact, I had a PM conversation with a friend last night, and
Yeah.
yeah, and she was asking me, well, you become a millionaire, because I'm a gypsy. I live a very, I'm a minimalist. And now that I have my pee in my backpack, I'm a total survivalist along with a minimalist, and I'm a total gypsy. Now I
Yeah.
could,
Taking over the
I'm
top.
here now, and this is where I am. But she said, well, what if you were a millionaire? And I said, well, if I was a millionaire, I'd just buy a bunch of property and open a sanctuary for animals and for, all of my tribe. So people could just come and hang, and feel free. That's what I'd do with my money. I wouldn't buy a bunch of fucking houses and cars and boats and bullshit. And, I wouldn't do any of that. I'd put it right back into healing, not just the humans, but, allowing a space for a sanctuary. That's what I'd do with the money. I don't need money. I don't, I'm not attached to it. I mean, certainly we all need whatever we need to get by. And I do. My needs are always covered, and they have been that way my whole life. Always.
Mm.
And my needs are simple.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
You know that word they say what's it called? Faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Simple. You just have faith that it's going to be there. Like apparently Jesus had this concept. They killed him. I don't know why, but he had some good ideas. But just have faith synchronicity happens, and bam, there it is. It's not hard, really.
Yeah. Well, it's even like this relationship development I'm in. Okay, now the person I was PMing with last night, we got into that a little bit, and I said that not all girls are the same. This is a girl that is really a minimalist like me, prefers it that way, is a gypsy like me, and goes on faith, and has had she's ridden a lot of the rides in the rodeo. So, she isn't a knave. She's a smart person, real smart. And we roll. I mean, our energy together is flawless, seamless, effortless, and it just glows. It glows with the flow. And I've waited my lifetime to have a opportunity to have a friendship of this level.
Mhm.
And I'm jazzed about it, big time. Really
Yeah.
jazzed about it.
Good.
Yeah, because it's true. Most women I've ever known, and I don't like to generalize and push people into corners, but there's security issues and money, and like their bling, and all those other kind of comfort. So to find somebody that isn't attached at all, not attached to any of that, my kind of girl,
Yeah.
my kind of girl. So, is there a mystery that we found each other? No. No. It was just in divine order. And we both had faith enough to understand it, recognize it, and appreciate it and embrace it as it appeared. And we've taken our time. We're just in a beautiful development. Our communication is just amazing, truly amazing how we relate. Now, this is the point I want to make about this, and it's in general terms across the board, that some of the people that I have the best and deepest and thoroughest relationships are drink their pee. Now, why? Because they really love themselves. They've detached themselves in so many ways from the outside world that once they started drinking their pee, they started getting a greater sense of themselves. Man, I guarantee you won't love yourself more than when you start drinking your pee. You start appreciating self-love, self-healing, self-appreciation like you never understood before. I assure you that.
Yeah, me too.
It's crazy cool how it works. Big time. And that's why I just be authentic about it all the time. I just tell people the truth of my experience. I don't tell people what to do. They're going to do what they do no matter what I do. They're going to say what they say and think what they think no matter what I think. I don't give a fuck. It's none of my business, especially what they think of me. I don't care. What do I care? They're going to think what they think no matter what I think. And I'm honest about what I think. I don't have any veils. I'm not holding secrets. I'm not playing games, and I'm not pulling punches. I couldn't be more straight about what's so.
Yeah, you don't need an agenda. Nobody needs it, really.
Yeah.
Keep it real. Simple.
Yeah. Works for me.
Yeah.
And I let it be one moment at a time. That's it. What are my plans? Oh, I don't know. Drink my pee. That I'm pretty sure about. After that, it's all vision, and I hold visions. Now, I used to teach people success. I was a trainer, and I'd teach them how to build their businesses and how to manage their businesses and how to motivate themselves and inspire others and how to get to the other side by goal setting, goal achieving. Well, I don't do that anymore. What I do encourage people to do is have a vision and hold it and don't goon yourself. Because goals have a tendency to limit people because they don't think they set a goal. This is my goal today. This is my 30-day, my 6-year, 5-year, 1 year, And they put all these conditions on it. And when those things fall short, they go, well, there I go failing again. And they cut themselves loose. They don't stay focused. They lose the whole game. Now, When you can hold a vision, put in your order, leave it alone, allow it, accept it, be patient about it. Because whatever you think about, you bring about.
Mm-hmm.
Don't goon it, right?
Right.
It all happens. Everything happens.
Don't
I
stop.
don't. I'm living in a dream, bro.
It don't
I
stop.
am. Yeah, I'm living in a dream state all the time. It blows my mind. And it's
I,
not like shit doesn't happen. Shit happens no matter what. Everybody has shit happen. It happens. But it doesn't matter what happens. It's how we address it, how we realize it, whether we're active in a reactive way or active in a proactive way. You know, whether we allow it to fuck us up or we wake us up. It's all perception. Doesn't matter what happens, it's how we're realizing what's happening and how our attitude is about what's happening and how we address what's happening. That's all. It's not
and the word
personal, you know.
I like how you use the word allowing, because to me that's the key. You know, you have to be able to accept what is. I know that's a cliche term that's used over and over in the new age stuff, but it's true. You have to accept and allow.
Well, and I think patience is the critical key out of all of the all the things that really enable us to be really holistic and principally sound operating spiritual beings. Because once we lose patience, it's effortless to lose empathy and allowance and consideration and all of that. It's like they fall like dominoes once we lose our patience.
Yeah, because we have too much invested. Once we are like in that zone of patience, we realize we're invested. Then we realize, and you ask the question, who's invested? Then, you know, you have to come to the conclusion eventually that there is nobody there. So then you can allow. Just keep going there.
Yeah. Well, it's taken a long haul, man. I learned this stuff in the 80s. I was training myself and training others and learning all of this stuff, but I'd still set myself up for a gooning because I wasn't owning it. That's why I kept fucking up relationships, marriages, careers, you know. I mean, because I kept gooning myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd take shit personal. I'd assume things. I wasn't being impeccable with my word. I wasn't being impeccable with myself. I was
Yeah.
always doing the best I can because anything I put a signature on, I do take a lot of personal acceptance and responsibility for. So it doesn't matter. I don't do a sloppy job. I'm not a sloppy person. When I make an agreement, I keep it and I'm in. But that doesn't substitute for taking things personal and being offended, and all that shit. And it's horse shit.
Yeah.
We live in a society now that is so fucking, bent on political correctness that you can't even say shit anymore. Oh, he said shit. Yeah, I said shit. Fuck you. And you're going to be offended by words. I mean, come on now. Let's get real. People are so easily offended. They have to look at that. It's not like I make no intent to offend somebody. I don't. It's not ever my intent to offend people or hurt their feelings ever, ever.
You you
And if
mentioned
they're
the
offended and
sorry to
their
interrupt.
feelings are hurt, it's like, well, what's going on with you? What is it about me that creates this dynamic in you?
Yeah.
What are you looking at in my mirror that's creating this illusion for you that you think it's my fault that you're fucking angry or whatever you are? It's bullshit.
Yeah, it is. You have to be an authentic self, and that pretty much entails have a hard look at yourself. And then for me, my experience was it's kind of not even there. Um, so where do you go, right? I was left pretty. I was in a dark place for a while, the void, because once you see the self as an illusion, you kind of go into the void, and the void meaning that it's like non-duality means not two. So subject object, I am not what I perceive, the perceiver. It's just stuff that it questions everything, and it puts it into a place where how could you point at it? It's like difficult to point at because it's just you're questioning all the time, and you question the self, and that self guy gets you in trouble, right?
Yes.
It does.
It's the ego attachment. It really boils down to the ego attachment.
Oh yes, we should define our terms for sure.
Yeah.
Ego,
Now, quick.
ego is a part of the self. See, here's the difference that I think, my opinion, is the self is the guy that thinks he has an ego or can lose the ego. That's the self to me. There is that beneath the ego. Keep going, digger. Dig deeper. Go digger.
Yeah.
Find that guy that thinks he has an ego. There, you found him, and he don't exist.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple of quick things before they disappear from my screen. Michelle wants to know if you drink the syrup daily. That's a quick question.
That's a good question, Michelle. Thank you. No, it's very unique. I actually do not mix it anymore with water because I took the water out. Why would I want to go backwards? I actually, just like you seen earlier, I take a little bit on the spoon and put it on my tongue, and it's like no other thing you ever put in your mouth. It makes it alive, and just it's like a zing, wow type of experience. So I don't put it in my fresh anymore. I use it like that, and it just really gives me a kick. It's like a jolt. You don't need much of it. It's a little bit.
Now, Matt Stevens, he's down in Australia, and
Hey, Matt.
yeah, and he's asking, what do you think about the major natural health proponents, advocates, teachers, etc.? David Wolf, Mercola, Bassinger, Culture Foods, people like that.
Yeah.
And are there any that should go to P? And I think yes is the correct answer because I've heard, all sorts of, that, I don't know, the guy that does the master fast or something, there's different people that have different agendas. And that's been my perception. Now, I don't poo-poo anybody's, thing, but a lot of these people poo-poo pee-pee, because they've got some other agenda. And they don't want people to get away from their products or their systems and following their specific routines. That's been my observation. Yeah. Everybody chooses also, whatever they want.
Matt, just remember, there's a nugget of gold in everything. Just look for it. It'll come instinctively. Mercola, I dig into the health industry. I watch so many hours or whatever. But there's a little nugget in there that relates to you. And just go with that instinct and try. And if you fail, well, who cares? The other guy you mentioned, what was his name?
Well, there's David Wolf, and then
yeah. Wolf. I think Wolf will go that direction because he seems like he's really in touch, because you try anything. Look at him. He's out there. He's putting it out there. Yeah. Who knows? But I do.
Yeah. And it's like Matt says he loves them all. And there's nothing not to love. I mean, there is, like you said, there's a nugget in everything.
Yeah.
And anytime that we, when we're ready, teachers appear in all sorts of ways and dimensions. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're receiving your information. It really doesn't. The biggest thing that I've recognized in my life experience is that life is this giant jigsaw puzzle, and it's up to us to find the pieces and make them fit. And we weave our own tapestry. If you let somebody else do your whole weave of your tapestry, you're kind of turning gray. You know, that's not a very colorful way to approach life. There's so many paths. There's so many ways to appreciate, understand, and elevate our understanding of what is best in our experience. And it can vary, it can change.
What you talk about
Flexibility.
is that urge to become. So we all have that as action figures. We want to become something. Uh,
Yes.
but there's a duality. There's the opposite of becoming. It's being. So there's a balance, a healthy balance, because if you don't see the being part of it, just to be able to chill, then the want and the urge to become something gets out of control. The self runs the show. It just goes boom. But then once you get the being part and you just sit there, you can balance them. It's a healthy balance. And I recommend that. That's the message. I think all of the great yogis and whatever, they all just wanted you to get that. Just be in balance and trust your instincts. Whatever David Wolf is doing, or anybody for that matter, it's kind of their own subjective way of trying to keep things in balance. But you know yourself best. So stay with the intuition and go with the flow.
Yeah. And I've been listening to a lot of people for a long time. When I first started out in whatever self-help, self-awareness, you know, how to figure things out, I was reading 3 to 5 books a week regularly. I would gobble them up because I'd never even realized there was that kind of information. So I was hungry. And so I haven't backed off from that path at all in my life. I'm always seeking more knowledge and looking to see what pieces fit. And it's funny how they just appear one day and you go, wow, there it is. You know, I mean, the dot connected and all of a sudden things just make sense. And I like that.
Faith.
It's the magical mystery tour. It's an adventure that way.
Yep. You have to have
Yeah,
the
I don't
faith.
want to have it all figured out.
Oh yeah, no,
We're
there's no figuring things out. You have to stay in that not knowing, because in the not knowing, you don't invest. Because if you think you know something, you invest in that, and that can get you in a lot of trouble, because the not knowing it's just magical, because anything's possible, and we all are in a reality of probability. So if you want the change to happen truly, stay in the not knowing, because it's more probable.
Yes. Well, and that's why I put that meme up yesterday. It appeared to me when I was having my morning walk, you know, that anyone who thinks they got it all figured out, you know, they don't. Trust that. You know, they don't have it figured out. Nobody's got it all figured out. And if they say they do, I've always likened it to a quote of Alan Watts. He says, anybody who says they can take you to spiritual enlightenment is someone that's just picked your pocket and is selling your watch back to you.
Alan Watts.
Yeah, Alan Watts. I love Alan Watts.
Oh, Watts.
Yeah. And Terrence McKenna and Muji. I love these guys. And Ram Dass. And I love these guys. I love listening to them.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it all. One of my most recent obsessions is Paul Hederman. I usually post some of his stuff just to get people interested, but I haven't found another teacher after him, and I don't even like to call him that, because in non-duality we realize there's no teacher and there's nothing going on here. It's always happening.
Yeah.
Therefore, nothing ever happens. Simple.
Well, you know, he comes from experience, and that's, you know, he you know, the guy's gone through the gamut. He rode the ponies. He's been on the bigger amusement rides, and, you know, he came full circle, and, you know, he's present and accountable, and I like him too. You know, the guy is a straight shooter.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull any punches.
His authentic self, I guess we can call it.
Yeah. No, I like that kind of spirit in people.
Hmm.
You know, don't blow smoke up my ass. I mean, I don't, you know, I don't need all that stuff. Just be straight and I'll get it. You know, I like that stuff. That's why
Hmm.
I like the teachers I listen to, and they're all great storytellers as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's a legendary indigenous kind just to be a good storyteller.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of metaphors, analogies,
And cryptic.
parables. Yeah, cryptic,
That
exactly.
the message should never be straightforward so that the mind can get it. The message should be cryptic and it should make you look like a dog. It should go, there's the message. I can't get it, but I
Well,
know it's
that's
there.
and I have a tendency to run in those rhythm and rhymes. That's how I do my writing a lot, and it just appears to me that way.
Yes.
Just to see, you know, if people can connect dots, see if they can figure that one out. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of limericks,
Limericks.
a lot of riddles.
That
Yeah,
word kind of rolls off the tongue. Limericks. I like it.
yeah, yeah, indeed. It's all good, right, bro?
I don't know. I'm not here.
This has been fun, man. I've been really enjoying our time. You know, I just love you dearly. You know that. You know,
Love you too,
you're a
Paul.
real find, my friend. You know, I really enjoy it. And matter of fact, I'm going to have Andrew Visker on next week, and he's a character, and I love him too. We've had some great conversations, and you know, that's the beauty of it all is that these are conversations. You know, they're not scripted. We don't have an agenda. We
No,
just let it
that's kind
appear
of,
and see how it rolls.
it's like
Yeah.
what's in the water. It's all alive and
Yeah.
it's happening now
Yeah. Exactly.
and authentic.
Yeah. It's a
Don't
beautiful.
forget.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing. You know, I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy myself, I wouldn't do this shit. You know, the amount of time I spend in creating and producing and all that stuff, it's a real act of love, believe it. I spend a lot of time to make this shit happen because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was being asked in that personal conversation, you know, about, you know, like being a mechanic and this, that, and the other. I have a lot of skills, but I just don't beat my body up anymore.
Yeah.
That's what got me in trouble in the first place, playing Superman, using all these, you know, skills
Hmm.
that just were destroying my body. Now I'm using the skills that expand my mind, the ones I like. I like production. I like writing. I like making movies. I like making shows. I like performing. You know, these are things that I really enjoy doing. I have
You
fun.
forgot the
I'm
golf.
having fun. Yeah, and golf. Yeah, I want time from golf and walking and you know, interpersonal relationship. I want balance in my life, and I have it.
Yeah. You got out of your own way and you
Yeah,
figured it out.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there's Andrew.
Ah,
Yeah, man. So, anything else on your heart and mind you want to that you feel incomplete about or anything?
I always am complete. Maybe.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
now.
You want to
I
leave them
said earlier
hanging.
there was no I. Now I'm
Yeah.
confused. That's what's on my mind. I'm confused.
Well, you know, I used to do, like I said, I used to do a lot of training. Okay, so techniques. Now, I understand techniques, and you know, if you're going to do good sales, yeah, there are certain postures and disclosures you want to maintain. And one of the techniques we used to teach is don't spill all your candy in the lobby.
Hmm.
You want to leave people with something to, you know, think about. You don't want them to know everything because then they'll just come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And you don't want to leave people that way. You want to leave them guessing a little bit. You want to leave people with, you know, a sense of wonder. You know, I do this thing every day. It's a mantra for me. Anybody who has their birthday and they're in Facebook and it appears every day, I do this as a mantra every day. So if your birthday appears, I go, happy birthday to you. Have fun. Live large. Enjoy the ride. And may your day and life be full of love, wonder, and magic. Love and peace to you. And I always post a picture along with it. Usually I have a couple of pictures I like to use. The one for the ladies and one for the men. And the one for the ladies has this little gentleman. He's probably all of 6 or 7, and he's wearing a white shirt and a hat and black pants, and he has this oversized tie, and he's just holding out a red rose. It's just sweet. And the other one is a giant heart, and it's all of people. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that all are standing together to form this giant heart. It's like a big heart tribe. And the reason I do that, it makes me feel good to do it. It's like a mantra, just sending out love. You know, I like to send out that kind of love to people every day. You know, and I don't even have to know them. They're just friends on the friends list and whatnot. And I don't know them that personally. There's a lot of people I do know very personally, you know, even though we've never met physically. I feel like you and I know each other pretty good at this point, Glenn.
Yeah, well,
you know,
we got out of our own ways and we put the self on the back burner and we decided to touch each other's hearts.
yes.
That's the way I look at it.
I extend that every day to everyone in every way. And how they receive it's up to them. You know, I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm not in business.
That's what I love to hear, man.
It's just sharing.
A lot of people will take that statement and turn it into something bad because it just kind of don't sound right. But because you're not attached does not mean you're a cold, heartless person. People think that, and it's the wrong way to look at it. My opinion, that because when you detach, it's not that you're cold-hearted. It's just you love the person so much they can basically get away with murder, and you still love them.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's another misnomer word is surrender. People have always interpreted surrender as being a negative. To me, it's a total positive. Yeah, it's a total positive.
You have to surrender to be detached.
Yeah.
And have faith that there's going to be guidance, and it will guide you.
Yes, absolutely. No, and if you look at language, period, I mean, English particularly, what a fucked up language it is. You know, I mean, it's designed to totally manipulate people by big time.
And the powers to be, they know how this reality works. All they have to do is put the right word in the right place to create a vision in your mind, and it's subliminal. And it just, you're gone. You're gone to get yourself a 2-liter of Coke or whatever they're flashing.
Yeah.
It's bad. That's why the TV's got to go.
Oh, I agree.
It may be some
it's
people.
Such noise. Yeah. Well, it's not just TV. It's media, period.
Yes.
In any form you're getting it that is a distraction. Give them cake and circus. You know, make sure they have enough beer and pizza to keep themselves reasonably comatose. I mean, it's all by design. It's perfectly designed. It's beautifully designed. Look at the effectiveness of it.
The fact that you say it is designed would make a person think, and we're going back to how the language works here, would make a person think there's something in control of this. But my opinion is there's nobody controlling it. Honestly, I feel like there's a happening here, but there's nobody controlling it. In the moment, it's like a dream. You notice how a dream works? It just happens, and there's no control, unless there's the lucid thing, but that's rare.
Right.
There's no control. And I don't really think there's much, like as a conspiracy group, and I like to put myself in there, Everybody should, my opinion. Put
I
yourself
liken
into
myself. I liken myself to being a conspiracy analyst, not a terrorist.
that. I love it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
continue.
I love it when somebody interjects with a really witty comment, and it completely throws my mental state right out the window. I'd have no idea what I was just talking about.
Perfectly stated.
Exactly.
Well, and here's the thing, okay, that when I say design, okay, there was a blueprint. There is a blueprint. It goes way back in history, big time. Okay, it wasn't just started by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. It has deep rooted history throughout time. And by design, it's to manipulate and control the masses. That was and is the general idea. So if you can create pandemonia, chaos, division, separation, ideological misnomers, religious separation, political separation, color separation, age separation, sexual disorientation, all of these things, division is design. Not inclusive, not to unify, not to harmonize, and not to get us in the same orchestra playing the same music. It's so that it's all this white noise that separates people. And that's all that needs to be really understood and observed. You don't have to argue with it, fight about it, or carry around a banner and a bat and be ready to shoot somebody. It's not required. It's just not. And that's where the surrender comes in. That's where the allowance comes in. That's where all of these poetic postures become so valuable. And the more people adopt, accept, and appreciate that this is self-love, this is how it all works. It's all self-love. And if you can self-love unconditionally, then you can actually, quit excluding everybody. You become the oneness of whole. You understand it at a much higher level, and there's your consciousness. There's your paradigm shift. That is the evolution. The evolution is not going to be televised.
No.
And the evolution is the revolution. Yeah.
There's a waiting, and don't go there like the Tom Petty. The waiting is the hardest part.
Yeah, the waiting is the hardest part. Exactly. And I've ridden all those ponies. I put a lot of tokens in those rides. I run out of tokens for those rides, and I don't even go to those areas of the amusement park anymore because they don't amuse me.
Yeah.
I just let it all be. I just do. It's just white noise to me. Completely.
If a person focuses.
Oh, did you hear what Trump said today? Oh, did you hear? Oh, God, we're going to go to war. Oh, God. Oh, God, my team, my this, my that. Oh, fuck you. Go spill some beer on somebody else. I don't fucking care.
The powers the powers that used to be, as people call them in the new age, but they're still there. Well, guess what? They just keep on putting that stuff out there because they want people to talk about it, because that creates our reality. And if they're putting out a bunch of negative stuff, they create a negative reality. So the only way, in my experience, is to get out of that negative reality, like what one would consider a place that's like hell or whatever, is just to be able to focus more on the good than the bad.
Exactly.
I learned this in my garden. That's what green thumb people do. They realize that if they got an infestation of bacteria or an insect, you don't go trying to spray your garden with a bunch of chemicals to kill it. No. You just keep on weeding, keep working, and keep having faith that you can get rid of that infestation. And it works.
Yeah. Well, it's learning to do the dance with the arabesque. And arabesque is perfect natural design. And as we learn to do that dance within ourselves, with our own hearts, our own experience, all you have to do is look at nature. Nature is a perfect arabesque.
Perfect.
It's intelligent.
And
And
you are
is
nature.
about, yes, it's a
You're perfect.
connection. Yeah, there's no disconnection. You know, it's really simple when you really get down to it. Now, you know, is it easy? Well, to me, it becomes effortless. I don't struggle with any of this anymore. I just live it and breathe it. It's as natural as, you know, eating, drinking, peeing, and shitting. It's all the same. It's just natural order for me. I don't give it any thought.
Yeah. In the UT,
Effortless.
that people talk about that a lot. They say, well, because it's your blood plasma ultrafiltrate, therefore it comes out in the front area of your body, that it's a perfect medicine. But to my experience, my green thumb tells me that, why would I want to go down to the local farmer's co-op and buy somebody else's shit when I make my own?
That's true. I
Right?
mean, even when I was working for I worked for three different pot farmers in Southern Oregon. They all were big producers, and they all had their own little, you know, magic formula. But they were getting bat shit, bat guano,
Guana.
and they were getting chicken shit, and they were buying all this other, you know, these things that they were incorporating into their soil.
There's
Shit,
a
shit.
Terrence McKenna. Nature loves courage and nature loves novelty.
Yeah.
Then you got a recipe there for a good garden. Be brave enough to put all kinds of shit in your compost tea, because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
like
really
David,
mean that.
yeah, well, David Burns said out by the outhouses where the sweetest flowers grow. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Usually
actual and
Lily.
metaphor. And Matt, yeah, he lives up near Newfoundland. Is it considered Nova Scotia? What or what? What's
No.
the province? What
Yeah.
province?
Newfoundland is the oldest, apparently. Uh, Newfoundland is an old place, but it's not part of Nova Scotia. It's a different province. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
up that way.
yeah.
It's where the Arctic Circle, where we're going to find out if there's actually a North Pole. A North Pole.
Well, you know, you know, the way I view it in this, you know, Gleason imagery
Yeah.
is that that there is a magnetic north pole. That's why compasses work the way they do. I really
They
do
point
trust
that
that.
direction.
Everything, yeah. And that east and west is a circular motion and south is a misnomer. That's the way I
True.
view it. And it makes perfect sense in my mind how it would work. Why is the compass flat and not round? Why do gyroscopes always work at level? I mean, you know, just think about simple practical observables and you can understand them in the simplest terms of how they function.
Eric
Makes
Larson.
sense to me.
Check him out. He calls himself a North and South Pole traveler or explorer, and he's on the TED Talks, Eric Larson. And I just watched him for the very first time last night, and he treks across, he says 480 miles from the most northern part of North America, like Transloop Bay, I think they call it. I don't know. But he treks, he says, across the ice 480 miles or kilometers, like whatever. And he tracks and he has a crew, but it's very scarce. I think there's three of them. And they go across the Arctic North and South. He said he's at both North and South poles. And, you know, it's interesting to see this because in the video that I watched, he has a digital readout. I'd never seen him hold an actual compass. And I'm curious,
Right.
once you get to true north, what does the compass do? Does it spin around and around and around? Because it can't point to the North Pole. It's
Right.
there.
And it is magnetics, and we are all magnetic. Once we understand that, you know, that we're all the same electromagnetic field force, and that our bodies have the same energy field that all represents. We're water and magnetic energy. That's what we are. We're perfect conduits. Once we understand and allow it, we're perfect conduits. Now I have to. I'm going to have to wrap it up because my my battery is going to die here soon, and I don't want it to cut off right in the middle of any broadcast. And so we're coming up on 2 hours, and we've covered a lot of stuff, and
A lot of nothing.
yeah. It's like a Seinfeld. What's your show about? Nothing.
The best show ever.
Yeah, best show ever. But man, I love you so dearly, bro. This has been way fun. Yeah, this has just been awesome. And
Funny how we can bridge the gap.
Yeah. I love you back again down the road. You know, I'm going to keep expanding one way or the other and develop. Once I get my mainframe computer, I may up my game again. You know, right now I'm just kind of working at a, level that works for me. That's it. Yeah. And so I do the best I can with what I got. And but I have a really powerhouse computer that's back in Washington State that I'm going to go retrieve here in the weeks to come sometime. So we'll see. But
happy travel, my friend.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Got your back.
All love to you, man. Big time. And Andrew, looking forward to you next week, brother. Andrew's coming up on the board next week. And then another dear friend of mine, Kirsten Lazur, she's awesome. She was in one of my Weedu Wander videos. She's a piece of work. And then Monica Shoot too. So we got some lively guests on the queue. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us and sharing and contributing your comments, questions, and all that. We love you all dearly. And it's really been a pleasure and a privilege to be with you all hanging out today in the ORIN Oracles. So, Glenn, we'll talk soon.
Peace out, bro.
Yeah, peace out. Love you all.
Love you.
Boom, you just been loved. Pow. Ha ha. Hey, give yourself a big hug. Love yourself. Always love yourself. Oh, and drink your pee. It's a healthy choice. Bye now.